As we're getting into sports, BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything football. From the preseason NFL to college kicking off, BetOnline has every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads while the games are being played. You think you know your stuff? Get into the winner-take-all $300,000 NFL Survivor pool for the upcoming season. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino and get a game of blackjack or poker run by with one of our over 150 slot games they have. Head to the website today and use promo code BLEAV, that's BLEAV, and get in on the action. Bet online. The game starts here. Code BLEAV, capital BLEAV. I found it.
Right.
All right. So this exchange, okay. So all right. So let's see this exchange here. Okay. So somebody writes, the amount of thigh slapping has never hang on. So this is the whole thing. Every metric is down for AEW except for Dave Meltzer's star ratings for his match. I did this on August 29th. Every metric is down for AEW except Dave Meltzer's star ratings for the matches. What does that tell you? Curious to see the response. This is before we recorded last week. I was trying to, you know, I throw stuff out there. Somebody puts the amount of thigh slapping has never decreased. The star rating is purely based on that metric. Constant thigh slapping equals high star rating. The person's obviously trolling, right? So Dave responds, thigh slapping in 2024 is far less prevalent than stomping the foot while throwing punches was in 1975, but you'd have to have a clue about wrestling to know that. And somebody says, let's be real here, Uncle Dave. This goof was replying to Disco Inferno, a hack who happened to have friends who were wrestlers yet never got over himself. I have to question anyone who takes old Glenn seriously. And then, you know what Dave answers this? Okay, yeah. So we do a podcast together, right? Here's his answer. People with really low IQs. So the original guy posts, thank you. I have no issue with wrestlers' opinions if they're unbiased, but this goes anything but. AEW could sell out a show with 50 million people and you call it a small crowd. I don't get what his grudge is against AEW is maybe because guys like Omega get over and he never did. But his inability to understand some fans like AEW style and work rate is beyond me. He and others trying to gatekeep wrestling is lame, and to me, he and others representing everything wrong with the old days of partying and everything that gets guys killed before 40. Then Dave says, you're missing the point on him. He's just a guy desperate for attention and thinks it helps his podcast. I don't think he believes half of what he says, and he doesn't study the business at all. So he wouldn't know. Not someone you can learn from, so don't waste your time worrying about him. And then somebody puts, weren't you in the business or was that Dave? And then Dave says, what does he say here? So then somebody says, then somebody talks, you value the insight of somebody who's nothing more than a spectator over somebody who worked and operated what he was spectating. Then Dave's response a couple days ago is, pretty sure the number of wrestlers who come to me for wrestling business insight over the last 30 years versus Disco would be a 30-to-1 ratio, and that's giving him the benefit. Why would that be? How come Disco isn't asked to speak on sports businesses at major colleges?
How am I involved in this?
Well, you do the show with me, and you agree with because this whole thing started about the thigh slapping, and when we talk about this, right, and we bring it up, they think that we're just hating on AEW
for numbers,
and this is not coming from a genuine place. We don't really believe this. We're just doing this for clicks because our audience is stupid. Yeah. That's what they're saying there.
There's a whole industry on YouTube right now. Sorry, Konnan, but it's similar where there's very popular channels that despise what's happened to Marvel and Star Wars. They get millions of views, make a lot of money just talking Star Wars and Marvel. And that's a similar response to the newer generation fans that are like, you guys just don't get it. You just hate diversity. You just don't like this. And they use the word gatekeep a lot, which anytime you use the word gatekeep, I'm immediately not listening to you. But that's kind of what I think they think is happening with DI. You're only doing it because you want to get the numbers up and you want to get money. With Meltzer, I always am baffled by the amount of hate he gets, but I'm starting to learn a little bit because like he's bringing it on himself. A lot of his responses, and I know Konnan says he likes Surly Dave, but a lot of that stuff there is very, very condescending. If you want to learn, you got to learn from this. And it's like, you're not a professor of wrestling. You're a reporter. And I like Dave and I read his stuff. Yes. But the way his look on Twitter isn't. Now I'm starting to understand.
Dave, let me explain to see how I see this Disco. I think it's very disingenuous. Did he say, or did the guy that wrote this say that you never got over and that you're jealous of Omega?
That the guy, there's some mark he's engaged with. Okay.
I mean, Joe's put it up so many times that you were the most watched guy on the show. That's not something you made up.
During, and I'd like to do a dive if I can find
October
one of our anons.
97. October 97.
I want to do one of our anons on this. I think I was the highest rated guy on TV during the period combined of highest ratings. Like literally, like I could make a case that I was the TV champion of all time.
I think it was
when
close.
I was holding the TV title during a period of when wrestling had its highest ratings of all time.
Like if to speculate, I'd say around like October 97, Nitro was probably getting 4s and Raw was probably getting your 2, 8, 3. But then down the line, Raw's getting 6 and Nitro's getting 3, and that's a couple years later. So maybe not of all time, but it's
okay. It's also disingenuous to say you never got over because almost all the boys have always put over that, that you were over. Plus, all you got to do is watch a show and you can hear it.
Right. There's a whole library of me on
now. The problem is that there's two problems here. You like to goof around in the dressing room a lot, so people therefore thought you were a goofball. But I mean, all you got to do is listen to some of the conversations we have. You're not even though you do blabber a lot. But here's the thing. The way I look at it is when you don't agree with people, they'll just invent any narrative and any disinformation to make you look bad because you're not agreeing with them. And that's the type of people we're dealing with. We're not dealing with people we disagree with. Like, for example, and I'm just going to use one example of many. We've disagreed with Conrad. We've disagreed with Dave LaGreca. We've disagreed. And we still keep it civil and respectful because we understand not everybody has to think the same way. But when you disagree with somebody, especially a lot of these incel geek nerds, they have nothing going on except wrestling and I don't know, maybe meetings or whatever they're doing. So they invent, they're trying to be relevant. How do you know that? How do you know that's what I'm trying to do? Like what I've done for 30 years isn't relevant enough? No, you don't like me. Therefore, you will find other guys that don't like me and mob up on me. What people don't understand is I don't give a because I don't make money with you. I've never met you. I probably never will meet you. And I probably, if I met you, you're not the type of guy I want to hang around with. What makes you think I give what you think about me? But yet they keep putting on my timeline, right? So it's, those that mind don't matter and those that matter don't mind. It's just that simple. Not everybody's going to agree with what we like. And if we say something that's, that says more about them than us. So if you don't agree with what they say, we're this, we're that, we're this, we're that. If the show wasn't any good, we'd be doing low numbers and we'd be making no money. But there are people that are listening to the show to laugh, to get informed, because it's you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well,
all of them. And by the way, I sent an email to Dave and I said, hey, why don't you come on the show? Disco won't be on. He didn't even answer me back, bro.
Are you serious?
You guys have been.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to send one more and I'm going to tell him, please answer. And if it's no, tell me why. Because your excuse was because Disco isn't on here. Now what's your excuse?
Right. Because here's what he said to the
system. Like, go ahead. I'm stuttering anyway.
Okay, well, I was going to say, because he said something, this is the gist of what he said. Don't forget. Don't pay me no mind. I'm not anybody you could learn from.
Right.
Okay, so bro, he's saying about me, and I do the podcast with you, and you're sharing the same views that I do.
Right.
So basically,
not a lot of them, but even when we disagree, we keep it civil.
Right, but on the work, specifically the overuse of the thigh slapping in the Japanese
right. And bro, he says that they used to do the foot stomp more before. Now I lived in that era, so did you. To me, it's about the same, and maybe even. I don't know. I almost want to say it's a little bit worse now because there's so many people doing it. There weren't as many wrestlers before, but I mean, we were in that era.
It's so simple, dude. The foot. Let's just real quick to point to the foot stomp specifically, bro. The foot stomp is not trying to simulate the sound of my fist hitting your face when you were stomping when you're punching a guy. It's just noise. Because we're stomping your foot. It's not like, there's momentum. Like when you step into a punch and it looks like when you're watching it, it looks like that's how you're fighting. You're stepping into a punch. Bro, literally faking that you're kicking the guy and smacking your thing, faking that you're hitting him and trying to deceive the people to pretend that you're hitting him when you can blatantly see the person doing it is a problem. Because it's exposing the work. We were never taught to just blatantly expose the work out there. We weren't said, bro, guys are taught when you want to talk to each other in the ring, try to hide it. Like we taught, guys were talking all the time, but they were trying to let you not see. Okay.
Right.
So we always, had the principles like, we're not trying to expose the business here.
Right.
But this community, the whole
They don't
premise
care.
of the dirt sheet community has been exposing the business, getting behind the scenes. So it's right. They don't care about adhering to that principle. And what they've done is you've had this a generation of people that have been reading your material all the years that are following your principles of work. Where they don't, if you're going to rate my work and think that my matches are fantastic, but I'm treating it like it's fake and not really trying to make it look as real as possible, and you're crediting me for that, it's like, dude, my point is like, the final point, if you're watching their shows, Dave is giving all these 4.5 and 5 stars of work where guys are slapping their thighs and doing the Japanese forearm spot. And I would sit there and say that, hey, look, I think you guys have been doing this long enough, and I think it's hurting your numbers. I would be the only one that would have any evidence to present to that because their numbers have gone down. You can't, like, if I'm saying that that's one of the reasons the numbers have gone down, they could argue, well, no, it's not. Then I would say, okay, what else is it then?
I think that if you ask fans that don't watch AEW, right? Casual fans, not hardcore.
Right.
I doubt they'd say, oh, the thigh slapping. I think what they would say, a lot of looks fake or amateurish, which includes the thigh slapping.
Right. The whole collective, very choreographed, because the guys aren't
because it looks like what it is.
Right.
A super indie fed with good production and big stars.
Right.
And now you have all these big stars trying to keep up with the young guys, and a lot of them get hurt, whether it's Edge, whether it's Jericho, whether it's, you know what I'm saying? Just stay in your lane. You're legends. You don't need to do that anymore.
Dude, think about this. Okay, that community took all these guys when they were working at NXT. Okay, when they were in the developmental, when WWE is trying to train them to bring them to the main roster, their work was better in NXT than it is on the main roster. That's what this community believes. Because all those guys, Gargano and stuff, they're all getting 5 stars, and Sammy and all that, they're all getting 5 stars. Doing the stuff that this community likes, which was kind of like over the top, a lot of choreographed spots, everything, but now they're polished. Right. And it's just like not interesting to this community because it's not as acrobatic.
Because you have something to compare it to.
The only difference to me between Kevin Steen, Ring of Honor, and then Kevin Owens and NXT and then WWE is that he doesn't drop guys on their head and neck anymore for a pop. Right. He used to do a lot of crazy spots where it would be a brain buster into the turnbuckle or Generico did that. Sammy's the same way. They chill you out. Your matches get less dangerous, but you get more polished. Right. And as a fan, like, seeing the guys talk in front of me, like they don't get, that's to me will take me right out of a match. Like I know it's choreographed. I know it's this. I've read Meltzer for years, whatever. In the 90s, we all got smart, quote. But don't, just because don't lessen your effort in front of me. Hide it. I don't want to see you talking. I know it, but I don't want to know it.
Right. I want to actually, you know what? I'm going to send you something here because I posted this. I'm going to send you this clip, Joe. I want you to show it. And this is sent to you right now to your Twitter inbox. Okay. All right. Okay. You should have it right now. All right. Well, show this clip. This is Jimmy Jacobs from back in Ring of Honor years ago. Him and BJ Whitner. Okay. Yeah. Did you see this, Konnan?
I saw that. That's ridiculous.
Okay. Now this is years ago. Now,
we talked about it.
No, when I saw that, well, we talked about it, but a lot of people maybe didn't see the video. But I just want to say one thing. I bet you anything that if you asked Jimmy Jacobs, would you do that now? He'd say absolutely not.
No, of course. This is old Jimmy. This is back when this stuff was gaining traction.
Right.
Dude, watch the fans right after he does this move right here, this move. Watch their reaction. Okay, but that's enough, Joe. Hey.
Bro, now, just so you know, I didn't know this, but when I saw this video, somebody wrote underneath that when they did the power bomb, there were guys out there catching him. Okay? But that second one,
that was a mistake. Yeah,
right. Horrible.
That was brutal.
But here's what I'll say about even the first one. The first one is a move that looks like it could have. That's a huge move. Like I wonder if I hope those guys are okay. And their initial reaction is, yeah, like not even knowing, like, bro, the guys could have died.
Yeah.
And the first reaction now, these fans watching guys literally trying to kill themselves,
Right, because they've never seen that. They're like, but back then they were doing all that crazy, taking it to the next, level. Remember when? And I used to go, you could not pay me enough to take this move. Remember when Mike Awesome was wrestling that Japanese guy, and he would pick him up over his head and throw him over the top rope through a table?
Yeah. Like hoping he would land right.
Yeah,
I was like, you can't really aim that right. Like, you can't practice that enough, right?
Like, that's bad enough. But if you watch, it looks like Tanaka, as much as you could know how to take that, he does. But then the reverse would be, all right, now it's Awesome's turn. And Awesome always landed so bad on like the back of his head when he would take that spot, and you don't even want to watch it, Yeah,
but
this is kind of immaturity that, like, if I was at that show in 2004 or whatever, I probably would have jumped up and, oh my, that's the craziest thing I've ever seen. But as you get older, you start to realize that these are real people getting really hurt, and they're doing it for your $15 ticket or whatever you paid. And it's like, why would you want to see guys put themselves in danger? I don't want to see that anymore. And I was an ECW fan.
Because you want to hear people talking about you. It's that easy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Think about this.
No, I mean, as a fan, Konnan, why would a fan
that fan base was demanding you
because they don't know any better, bro. They just saw something that they've never seen in their life, and they're popping like you did.
Right.
But I'm just saying, like, think about that. You're performing for a fan base that is thirsty for you to go out there and risk injury.
Right.
And like,
not only that, and you're in a promotion that what's the word? That promotes it, that says, hey, we have the craziest out here. We're extreme wrestling.
So my contention is, and you would probably agree with me, why would you do that? Risk yourself for people like that? Yeah. Like, why would you do
you never saw me do that.
Exactly. Of course. I mean, neither. It's like, dude, I literally could go out there, me and Konnan, he could grab the mic before the thing, orderly, leave it at I could do my dancing thing. Our reaction from the fans was often bigger than you guys trying to kill yourselves. Like, I don't know. That's where professional wrestling just got sideways with me. The indie stuff and the Ring of Honor, them doing that. It's just like, dude, I don't know why you're trying to hurt yourself for real in a business that we're taught it is work.
And it's funny. This is 30 years almost later, and we're having this conversation. But 30 years ago is when Mick Foley as Cactus started doing the anti-hardcore fan character in promos, and he would say all this stuff. You guys wouldn't on me if I was on fire. You don't care about my kids, this and that. We played some of the stuff on the show for whatever, but that was going. That's when it started.
It's a good conversation.
Yo, what's up? I just want to thank you guys for watching this clip. Don't forget to hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe, and join our YouTube membership for hours and hours of exclusive, unedited, uncensored content. And being a member will help you get involved in our upcoming live streams. Thank you for your support. Thank you for riding with us. I know you got a lot of other podcast choices, be it wrestling or other ones. And thank you for picking us. Boom.